Ukrainian President Zelensky thought that he could waltz into the Washington and lecture Trump and JD Vance, but boy, oh boy, did he overplay his hand. Trump and Vance put him in his place, calling out his disrespect, his war games, and his outright arrogance for trying to dictate U.S. policy. Welcome back to the Charisma Show. Let's get into it. Now, if you've been under a rock, you've missed all of what happened on Friday as JD Vance shred Zelensky for disrespecting Trump. This might have been the most brutal 5 minutes of political takedown we've ever seen. So take a listen to it. It's going to be I'm showing just the last 5 minutes of the showdown because it's 50 minutes in total for the whole press conference, but the last 10 minutes or so, just all the fireworks went off, and I'm going to show 5 minutes of that, what really happened. Take a listen.
Yes, content. Yes, but after that, he broke this ceasefire. He killed our people, and he didn't exchange prisoners. We signed the exchange of prisoners, but he didn't do it. What kind of diplomacy, JD, you are speaking about? What do you mean?
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media. Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. You should be thanking the President for trying to bring it into this conflict.
Have you ever been to Ukraine? Did you see what problems we have?
I have been to. I've actually watched and seen the stories, and I know what happens is you bring them on a propaganda tour, Mr. President. Do you disagree that you've had problems bringing people in your military? And do you think that it's respectful to come to the Oval Office of the United States of America and attack the administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your country?
A lot of questions. Let's start from the beginning.
Sure.
First of all, during the war, everybody has problems, even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future. God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless.
You don't
God
know.
bless. You will not have a war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because you're in no position to dictate that.
That's exactly what you're doing.
You're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel. We're going to feel very good. We're going to feel very good and very strong. You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position, and he happens to be right about it.
From the very beginning of the war.
You're not in a good position. You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having cards. But right now, you don't. Yeah, you're playing cards. You're playing cards. You're gambling with the lives of millions of people. You're gambling with World War III. You're gambling with World War III. And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country. That's back to you. Far more than a lot of people said they should have.
Have you said thank you once this entire meeting? No, in this entire meeting, have you said thank you? You went to Pennsylvania and campaigned for the opposition in October. Offer some words of appreciation for the United States of America and the president who's trying to save your country.
Please, you think that if you will speak very loudly about the war,
He's not speaking loudly. He's not speaking loudly. Your country is in big trouble. Wait a minute. No, you've done a lot of talking. Your country is in big trouble.
I know.
You're not winning. You're not winning this. You have a damn good chance of coming out okay because of us.
Mr. President, we are staying in our country, staying strong from the very beginning of the war. We've been alone. And we are thankful. I said thanks.
You haven't been alone. You haven't been alone. We gave you, through this stupid president, $350 billion. We gave you military equipment, and your men are brave, but they had to use our military. If you didn't have our military equipment, this war would have been over in 2 weeks.
In 3 days, I heard it from Putin. In 3 days. This is something
maybe less.
In 2 weeks, of course, yes.
It's going to be a very hard thing to do business like this.
Again, just say thank you.
I said a lot of times to American people.
Accept that there are disagreements, and let's go litigate those disagreements rather than trying to fight it out in the American media when you're wrong. We know that you're wrong.
But you see, I think it's good for the American people to see what's going on.
I understand, sir.
I think it's
I
very
understand.
important. That's why I kept this going so long. You have to be thankful. You don't have the cards. You're buried there. Your people are dying. You're running low on soldiers. Listen, you're running low on soldiers. It would be a damn good thing. And then you tell us, I don't want a ceasefire. I don't want a ceasefire. I want to go and I want this. Look, if you could get a ceasefire right now, I tell you, you take it so the bullets stop flying and your men stop getting killed.
Of course we want to stop the war.
But you're saying you don't want a ceasefire. I want a ceasefire because you'll get a ceasefire faster than an agreement.
Ask our people about a ceasefire, what they think.
That wasn't with me. That wasn't with me. That was with a guy named Biden who was not a smart person. That was with Obama.
It was your president.
Excuse me. That was with Obama, who gave you sheets, and I gave you javelins.
Yes.
I gave you the javelins to take out all those tanks. Obama gave you sheets. In fact, the statement is Obama gave sheets and Trump gave javelins. You got to be more thankful, because let me tell you, you don't have the cards. With us, you have the cards. But without us, you don't have any cards.
One more question to Mr. Vice President.
Wow, wow, wow. There's so much to unpack here. I mean, Zelensky came in acting like he runs the show, but JD Vance, Vice President JD Vance, was not having it. I mean, he comes in, there's no humility, there's no gratitude. He shows up in something that looks like a tracksuit, totally disrespectful. And then he has this attitude and arrogance. Like all leading up to this point in exchange, a reporter had asked a question which Vice President JD Vance responded and was talking about diplomacy, about how Trump, his way of handling diplomacy by working with one side to bring in the other side and to reach a deal for both of them. And then he went off talking about, you heard him for your own self, talking about Putin this and Putin that. And then not even, having the gumption to be humble, that this is an opportunity. You came here after they've given you $350 billion already, and the war still not is over. The war is still continuing. People are dying. His own soldiers are people that they're physically dragging into the war. And that's what JD Vance was saying, that he's seen videos, and I've seen them myself, where they're driving around, grabbing people from off the street and just forcing them to go to war. Like, it's crazy. The videos I've seen is just ridiculous. So that's what one of the things JD Vance was talking about. Like, all he had to do was just be humble. Stop trying to be argumentative and be like a badass, because you're not a badass. You're here asking for support, but yet you want to be like this tough guy. Like, there's no need for trying to be a tough guy. We all know you're a tough guy, but show some respect and some humility. So next, I want to show you Marco Rubio, what he had to say about this whole situation, because as usual, the left got their knickers in a knot, and I was talking about how JD Vance and Trump ganged up on Zelensky and how it was a setup. It wasn't a setup. Zelensky started this off. He should have just kept his freaking mouth shut and be grateful and be humble to have this opportunity to meet with the president. I mean, prior to this, they were working for 10 days to get to this deal, this minerals deal. And he's the one that requested a meeting with Trump. He wanted to come to the White House. But rumor has it is that the Obama's team told him not to sign any deal with Trump and to be as argumentative as necessary. I don't know how much true validity there is to that, but that's what's been said in the online. So it's very interesting. But here's what Marco Rubio had to say about what led up to this explosive situation between Trump and Zelensky and JD Vance. Take a listen. Let me just make sure. Got this here. Take a listen to this.
From President Zelensky, he said he does not think that he owes President Trump an apology for what happened inside the Oval Office today. Do you feel otherwise?
I do, because you guys don't see, you guys only saw the end. You saw what happened today. You don't see all the things that led up to this. So let me explain. The president's been very clear. He campaigned on this. He thinks this war should have never started. He believes, and I agree, that had he been president, it never would have happened. Now here we are. He's trying to bring an end to this conflict. We've explained very clearly what our plan is here, which is we want to get the Russians to a negotiating table. We want to explore whether peace is possible. They understand this. They also understand that this agreement that was supposed to be signed today was supposed to be an agreement that binds America economically to Ukraine, which to me, as I've explained, and I think the president alluded to today, is a security guarantee in its own way, because we're involved. It's now us. It's our interests. That was all explained. That was all understood. And nonetheless, for the last 10 days, in every engagement we've had with the Ukrainians, there's been complications in getting that point across, including the public statements that President Zelensky has made. But they insisted on coming to D.C. This agreement could have been signed 5 days ago, but they insisted on coming to Washington. And there was and should have been a very clear understanding. Don't come here and create a such scenario where you're going to start lecturing us about how diplomacy isn't going to work. President Zelensky took it in that direction, and it ended in a predictable outcome as a result. It's unfortunate. That wasn't supposed to be this way, but that's the path he chose. And I think, frankly, sends his country backwards in regards to achieving peace, which is what President Trump wants at the end of the day, is for this war to end. He's been as consistent as anyone can be about what his objective is here.
But what specifically do you want to see President Zelensky apologize for?
Well, apologize for turning this thing into the fiasco for him that it became. There was no need for him to go in there and become antagonistic. Look, this thing went off the rails. You were there, I believe. It went off the rails when he said, let me ask you a question to the vice president. What kind of diplomacy are you talking about? Well, this is a serious thing. I mean, thousands of people have been killed, thousands. And he talks about all these horrible things that have happened to prisoners of war and children, all true, all bad. This is what we're dealing with here. It needs to come to an end. We are trying to bring it to an end. The way you bring it to an end is you get Russia to the table to talk. And he understands that attacking Putin, no matter how anyone may feel about him personally, forcing the president into a position where you're trying to goad him into attacking Putin, calling him names, maximalist demands about Russia having to pay for the reconstruction, all the sorts of things that you talk about in a negotiation. Well, when you start talking about that aggressively, and the president's a deal maker, he's made deals his entire life, you're not going to get people to the table. And so you start to perceive that maybe Zelensky doesn't want a peace deal. He says he does, but maybe he doesn't. And that active, open undermining of efforts to bring about peace is deeply frustrating for everyone who's been involved in communications with them leading up to today. And I think he should apologize for wasting our time for a meeting that was going to end the way it did.
You yourself have said previously that Putin cannot be trusted in negotiations. That was the point that President Zelensky was ultimately making during that conversation, is that there cannot be an agreement without security guarantees, because he was talking about all the ceasefire agreements before, or agreements that Putin has just blown past. I mean, do you still feel that way, that Putin cannot be trusted in these negotiations?
Well, I was there yesterday when the president said in front of the media that our approach is going to be trust but verify. President Trump's made deals his entire life. He's not going to get suckered into some deal that's not a real deal. We all understand this. We understand it on our end for certain. And so the goal here is to get to a place we have to explore whether peace is possible. I've said this repeatedly. I don't know. I think it is, based on what they've said so far, but we have to explore that. How else is this war going to end? I ask people, what is the European plan to end this war? I can tell you what one foreign minister told me, and I'm not going to say who it was, but I can tell you what one of them told me, and that is that the war goes on for another year, and at that point, Russia will feel so weakened that they'll beg for a peace. That's another year of killing, another year of dying, another year of destruction, and by the way, not a very realistic plan in my point of view. So if there's a chance of peace, even if it's a 1% chance, that needs to be explored, and that's what President Trump is trying to do here.
And there you have it. You heard Marco Rubio. He set the record straight by talking about what actually led up to this and what's been going on, and how Zelensky, the Ukrainians, have been difficult for the last 10 days leading up to this. And he is the one who actually called for this meeting. And I mean, he came in and one of the things that, as you saw, he said to Trump is like, oh, well, you have it really nice now. Oh, it's not going to be like that for too long. Can you imagine you have a guest coming to your house and he's saying, oh, yes, you have a beautiful house, but it's not going to be like this for too much longer? Like, what? Wouldn't you take that as a threat? Right? And you will respond accordingly. So he got the whooping he deserved. So here's what Scott Jennings had to say. Scott Jennings went on CNN and he dropped some facts about what he thought all Zelensky had to do was to say thank you. And this is all people are saying. All he had to go and do was say thank you. I am so grateful for being here. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for supporting my people. And I'm just honored to be here. That's all he had to do. Take a listen to what Scott Jennings had to say about this craziness about Zelensky and his just lack of diplomacy in dealing with the president of the United States. Take a listen.
Premeditated.
I don't know.
I think Zelensky misplayed it in the room, and you can and we could disagree about JD Vance's position on it or agree on it, but either way, Zelensky certainly had been briefed on what the right way to handle this was, and all he had to do was walk in there and say, "Thank you. I'm really grateful to be here. We want to be partners with the United States. We're grateful for your leadership. Where's the papers, and what are we having for lunch?" That's all he had to do. And look, the posturing doesn't have to occur now. If he is serious about wanting peace and ending this war, you don't have to keep posturing as a tough guy. Everybody knows you're tough, all right? The Ukrainians are tough. They're brave. They're fighting a much larger country. Everybody knows. The question for Zelensky is, can you take off the military uniform and put on the uniform of diplomacy? He failed the test today.
All he had to do was say thank you, and I agree 100%. No need for all the antagonistic behavior, the cutting off, the pushing. I mean, you all know Trump. Once he gets going, he gets going. He's like a steamroller. Like, he doesn't back down. He knows how Trump is, and he went into the White House and he pissed him off and sent him off by threatening him. Okay, and there's reports also saying that when JD Vance was speaking to him, he said it in his Ukrainian language, he called JD a bitch. You know, like sometimes when you're talking to someone, you don't really want to hear what they're saying, and you sort of muffle. It's like, oh, whatever, and you muffle under your breath. Well, apparently he called JD Vance a bitch. Can you imagine that? Such disrespect, man. This man is just so disrespectful. And also here we have Melik Abdul. He said, Zelensky is just so arrogant. Like, this was totally uncalled for. All he wanted was, a fight, and he got a fight. Take a listen to what he had to say. And this guy, I believe he's a CNN. He goes on CNN and he does some commentary for the conservatives. Take a listen.
Republicans are pretty happy what happened. Let's not make sure we don't have the revisionist history. Donald Trump was responding to a reporter's question asking about whether or not, Putin. Donald Trump responded to that. He said, next question, one more question. JD Vance then piggybacked off of what Donald Trump was saying, and he was talking about the importance of diplomacy. And what he specifically was saying is that negotiating with one side, which is what the United States and Europe has done this entire time, not inviting Putin to the negotiating table, JD Vance was talking about that's how Donald Trump views diplomacy. It was Zelensky then who then turned to JD Vance and said, JD, not Vice President Vance, JD, to ask him a question. There wasn't a reason for him to ask JD Vance anything. I thought that Donald Trump and JD Vance did exactly what they needed to do in that moment, because he was surely disrespectful, and he responded to it. I thought that they did exactly what they should have done. Bravo to Donald Trump and JD Vance.
100%. He got the ass whooping he deserved. Okay, don't come into my house and disrespect me and mine. No. It's not going to work. Now, for our reaction segment, I want to hear what Candace Owens had to say about this, because Candace is very, very vocal about this whole situation with, Vice President, what was I going to say? About this whole thing with Zelensky. And she had a lot to say about it. So let's take a listen to what Candace had to say, because she doesn't really care for for Zelensky. She calls him the welfare queen, and he is a welfare queen. And it's just crazy to me that we had to witness this.
We have to speak about this Zelensky meeting. I don't know where you guys stand. Can't wait to hear the chat. I am just so over this, the never-ending wars. I have been against Zelensky since day one. We jumped out of Afghanistan after decades of sons and daughters being killed, and with nothing to show. Nothing to show. There's billions of dollars given to a region. We have no idea what was happening. It was just a money laundering operation. What is the explanation for Afghanistan? We've got nothing, literally. What were they doing? I know that some people were having to guard their poppy fields. Was it just a way to create the opioid crisis? Was this for big pharma? We're never going to get any answers. But literally 2 weeks after we got out of Afghanistan, we jumped into being involved because the most important thing ever was for us to defend Ukrainian borders. Even though the majority of Americans cannot point out Michigan on a map, suddenly everybody was like, no, Ukraine is it, and didn't really know the background of our involvement and the color revolution that we launched in 2014 in Ukraine, installing essentially someone that was controlled by America, controlled by NATO, to be a leader in that region. We caused the regional issues there. We did. NATO, America, we caused those issues dating back to 2014. No matter what anybody tells you, that is the truth, okay? We staged a coup. And so Zelensky is just a person who is a puppet. He is not a real leader in that region. And he has taken billions from American taxpayers, and watching him disrespect us by showing up. He has done Vanity Fair. He has done Vogue twice. He has done the cover of Forbes. He was on the Lex Friedman podcast, okay? And every time he comes to the White House, he can't even be bothered to put on a suit. So you can't afford groceries. You can't afford to fill up your tank. And he doesn't care. He's just like, oh, well, you know what? I'm just going to dress in my sweatpants, my military fatigues, because he's a propagandist. He's supposed to be selling to you like he's like on the front lines. He thinks he's in a movie. And that's because before becoming the president, he was literally just an actor. He was like a Netflix actor, so to speak, right? He was on a very popular television show in Ukraine where he played, I'm not even kidding, I would talk about The Matrix. He played an actor that went on to become president. And then he was an actor who went on to become president. You can't even believe these things. It's true, okay? And so that's his goal. He's an actor. He's supposed to wear outfits. He's with tons of A-list celebrities. You're in a war and thousands of men are dying, and you're making time to do the cover of Vogue twice.
Easy.
Vanity Fair. Guys, you have to realize how unbelievably ridiculous and wrong that is. And so it has been nice. So as soon as this guy gets out of the car, like he's just a buddy to Trump and he's just going there to pick up some more money. I mean, he actually got angry when someone suggested that we cut off these welfare checks to Ukraine. He's like, no, you pay for me. You pay for me and do whatever I want. This is the first time where he went to the White House and Trump looked down at him and was like, what are you wearing? I'm going to show you. Like he makes a little smart comment like, oh, okay, show some respect. Take a listen.
Pretty close. How are you?
You're all dressed up.
He's all dressed up today.
President Trump, what's your message to Vladimir Putin, sir? President Trump. President Trump, you have a message to Vladimir Putin.
So disrespectful.
That's good enough. So Zelensky has always, to me, been giving Veruca Salt, don't care how I want it now, you know, don't care how I want you guys to get back to work and you're going to keep funding my war, which even AI will tell you they never had a means of winning. Okay, this was just a never-ending money laundering opportunity, get money out of the taxpayers' dollars, and then they go, oh, we lost it. Pentagon doesn't know where all of the billions of dollars went. That's just what keeps happening all the time. And I have been calling this out since 2022, okay, before it was cool or popular to recognize that we were getting got, like we were just getting got in the Ukrainian laundromat over there. Here's my tweet from 2022. I literally wrote, I cannot stop laughing at how Zelensky always intentionally styles himself like he just came out of the trenches as a recurring piece of propaganda. He just has no time to put on a suit, you guys. He's just so busy doing hero things with your money. He can't be bothered to wear a suit. There's no reason he can't put on a suit other than the fact that he's trying to sell to the public that he is on the front lines. It's a movie role for him. And that drives me insane. So you have to imagine how absolutely giddy I was when I saw this clip circulating from C-SPAN of JD Vance, Trump and Zelensky in the Oval Office, because Trump is looking at him like, you're like a bratty kid. You don't even have the respect. Even you knew during Christmas time when you were going, or it was your birthday and you were going to see your grandparents, you knew they were going to write a check and they were going to slip $100 or $20 in there. You knew to come correct, right? You knew to have some respect because your grandparents are going to give you a little bit of money and you're going to act surprised that there's money in there. You're going to say, thank you. That's not him.
Nope.
That's not Zelensky. He's Veruca Salt. Don't care how. I want it now. I want the whole world. I want to wear them like braids in my hair and I don't want to share them. Okay. That is Zelensky. And so today, for the first time in 4 years, in my view, he got the treatment that he deserves from the American people, not even the American people, the American representatives, JD Vance and President Donald Trump. Take a listen to this meeting.
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you are
Mr.
not
President,
strong...
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media. Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. You should be thanking the president for trying to bring an end to this conflict.
Have you ever been to Ukraine that you say what problems we have?
I have been to.
Come once.
I've actually watched and seen the stories, and I know what happens is you bring them on a propaganda tour, Mr. President. Do you disagree that you've had problems bringing people into your military?
We have problems.
And do you think that it's respectful to come to the Oval Office of the United States of America and attack the administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your country?
A lot of questions. Let's start from the beginning.
Sure.
First of all, during the war, everybody has problems, even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future. God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless.
You don't
God
know that.
bless. You will not have a war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because
I'm
you're in no
answering on
position
this
to
question.
dictate that.
That's
Remember
exactly
this.
what
I'm not
You're in
dictating.
no position to dictate what we're going to feel. We're going to feel very
You will
good.
feel influence.
We're going to feel very
I'm
good and
telling
very
you,
strong.
You will feel influence.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed
From the
yourself
very-
to be in a
from
very
the very
bad position,
beginning
and he
of the
happens
war.
to be right about
From
it.
the very beginning of the war.
You're not
Mr.
in a good
Brown,
position.
I
You don't
was
have
in
the cards right now. With us, you start
I'm
having
not playing
cards. But
cards.
right now, you
I'm
don't. Yeah,
very
you're playing
serious,
cards.
Mr. President.
You're
I'm
playing
very
cards.
serious.
You're gambling
I'm
with the
president
lives of
involved.
millions of people.
You think-
You're gambling with World War III.
What you
You're
thinking about?
gambling with
What are you
World
thinking
War
about?
III. And
We-
what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country. It's
with
back
all
to you.
respect to your
Far
country.
more than a lot of people said
I'm wearing
they
respect.
should have.
Have you said thank you once?
A lot
entire
of
meeting?
times.
No, in this
Even
entire meeting,
today.
you said thank
Even
you.
today.
You went to Pennsylvania and campaigned for the opposition in October. Offer some words of appreciation for
What-
the United
what
States
you're
of
speaking
America
about.
and the president who's trying to save your country.
Zelensky needs a spanking. He needs an old-fashioned spanking. Go outside, get the switch. Back when they used to do it in the day before we were coddling toddlers. That is toddler behavior.
Exactly.
Just wear a suit. You're going to ask for money. Wear a suit. Have some respect. Do not litigate matters in front. Could you just imagine the audacity of your child like speaking to? He is a welfare child. He is ghetto. Okay, people, I used to say ghetto, and the media would always lie about that. Like, oh, Candace calls black people ghetto. There are people all around the world who act ghetto, and he is a welfare child. Okay, make no mistake. I don't care where he's getting his military fatigues, which he apparently has never-ending supply of. Him coming out with this handout and acting like a bratty child should be treated in that manner. Okay. That's how toddlers, you need to put them in their place and remind them, okay, adults are speaking. You don't use that tone with me. So I say to my son, you don't use that tone with me. You don't speak to adults like that. Why? Because you're a child and it's inappropriate. And that's how I felt watching him. I'm like, who are you? Okay.
Exactly.
And he's lucky it wasn't me in there. He's lucky it wasn't me in there. I promise you, if I was in there and he was talking to me like that for taking money from the mouths of my family's out there, they can't put gas in their tank. And you're over here coming here in your sweatpants. It would have been over. It would have been over. This is why I just do this from home. Because I can't be out there dealing with men acting like that little man child that he is. And so I was happy to see this. And by the way, the best part was that Ukrainian's ambassador, who probably is just his babysitter, who probably just has to write down the lines he's supposed to remember, and saw this happening. Look at her face as she's watching this correspondence in the Oval Office.
But I said to you,
I want a
with
ceasefire
guarantees.
because you get a ceasefire faster
Like,
than
oh my God.
More people about ceasefire.
I want to hide. Hilarious.
Dang, my child just do not know how to act. I told him to just say these 3 things, and he's out of control right now. And we're about to lose all this money. And I can't believe he couldn't just pull it together. And I just have to call out the hero here, the reporter Brian Glenn of Real America's Voice, because nothing has been more real and more American and more of our voice, more representative of our voice than him straight up asking Zelensky about this little outfit that he's wearing. Take a listen.
Second
question. My second question for President Zelensky. Why don't you wear a suit? Why don't you wear a suit? You're at the highest level in this country's office and you refuse to wear a suit. Just want to see if do you own a suit?
Yeah, you have problems.
A lot of Americans have problems with you not respecting.
I don't have
the
such.
office.
I will wear a costume after this war will finish.
Okay.
Yes, maybe
Maybe
something like
Yes,
yours.
sir.
Yes,
That'd be great.
maybe something better. I don't know. We will see. Maybe something cheaper than Thank you.
And of course, like all the rest of the leaders, like Emmanuel Macron, what is his background in? Drama club, theater. And so for him, like I said, it is a costume that he's wearing now. He gets up and wears like, how can I look like I'm a military guy that's playing a role? This is why he hangs out with Sean Penn. What he desperately wants to be is a Hollywood actor. It's why he spends so much time with Hollywood actors. He wants Ari Emanuel to be his agent. Okay. These are just the facts. If you've been paying attention, these are the facts. And I am over it. I do not care. Piers Morgan jumped into it and was like, well, Elon Musk doesn't wear a suit in the White House. Guess what? Elon Musk isn't taking billions of dollars away from the taxpayer. Do you understand the difference here? And listen, if you guys in Europe, because you guys love this war so much, because you have an aging population that's still high on what I would refer to as Cold War propaganda. Like these are the kids, this boomer generation that grew up and like in the way that we had fire drills, you have to think about this. They had nuclear drills, okay? And the kids would get under their desks and they'd be like, oh, Russia's going to bomb you. Russia's going to nuclear bomb us. And if you get under your desk, this is going to save you. Pointedly ridiculous, completely crazy. But obviously it's stuck with this generation because they are so ridiculous when on the topic of Russia. It's like Russia. We got to be afraid. I'm not afraid of Russia, okay? I have an understanding that they have a smaller GDP than California. This whole idea that they're trying to recreate the Soviet Union is a nonsense. It is propaganda. It is stupid. It is beyond stupid. It is literally just a way to keep people fearful. It is CIA propaganda because what's really happening is we're expanding into their territory, guys. Take a look at what the EU is. Take a look at what NATO is. It's military people that are on the border of Russia's country, not the other way around. Russia is not in Mexico. They're not in Canada. I don't care. I want nothing to do with this nonsense. You think Putin bad? You fund it. You fund Zelensky. You be his never-ending pocketbook. You love that, Piers Morgan? Do it. You love that, United Kingdom? Do it. You think that this is just forever want to be his granddad? Fine. I have no issue with that. But the American people are tired of it. And I have to tell you, we are tired of being the pocketbook to the world, especially while our countries are in deterioration. When we look around and we have all of these issues and we can't even get things to look nice, the streets to look clean everywhere. Crime is rampant in inner cities. And you keep telling us, I have to care about this little small man who doesn't have the decency to put on a suit. Pass. Miss me entirely with this. So Trump then gave a statement on the meeting. He tweeted this. He tweeted, we had a very meaningful meeting in the White House today. Much was learned that could never be understood without conversation under such fire and pressure. It's amazing what comes out through emotion. And I have determined that President Zelensky is not ready for peace if America is involved because he feels our involvement gives him a big advantage in negotiations. I don't want advantage. I want peace. He disrespected the United States of America and its cherished Oval Office. He can come back when he is ready for peace. Donald J. Trump. And then Zelensky replied with this on Twitter about the visit. Thank you, America. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your visit. Thank you, POTUS, Congress, and the American people. Ukraine needs just and lasting peace, and we are working exactly for that. Okay, so it looks like his ambassador took the phone and just said, listen, you're done. You're done for today. Go take a shower. Go to sleep. You fumbled the ball greatly. All right, guys.
Yes. I mean, Candace just says it all raw and unfiltered, and that's I'm here for it. And speaking of raw and unfiltered, let's jump into our Raw and Unfiltered segment where real American people share exactly what they think about the lunacy, the liberal meltdown, and all the crazy things that's happening right now. And first up is this man. He's talking about all of these people all of a sudden who are waving Ukrainian flags. What does it really mean? Take a listen to what he had to say. And he just said it so poetically about this hypocrisy that we're seeing today.
Americans, if you're waving a Ukrainian flag or putting a Ukrainian flag in your bio, I want to ask you, what exactly are you supporting? Are you supporting a war that the US and Europe sparked by constantly expanding NATO closer to Russian borders since 1994? Are you supporting a war that was sparked by the US helping to overthrow a democratically elected Ukrainian president in 2014 because he was pro-Russian? Are you supporting a war that was instigated by Biden supporting Ukraine joining NATO in 2021, which would be like Mexico entering a military alliance with Russia? Are you supporting funding war or forging peace? Now, to be clear, Putin started this war. Putin broke international law. Putin has blood on his hands. But our government has been giving other governments excuses to fight wars. Weapons companies who own our politicians profit from war and find new reasons to start war, give them excuses. U.S. aid, which has been undermining foreign governments under the guise of humanitarian aid, gives them excuses. Cowardly Republican and Democrat career politicians who go along with all of that give them excuses. If we want to stop wars, then we need to stop giving other countries reasons to start them. Now, we can all have empathy for Zelensky. He's had to endure 3 years of watching his people suffer at the hands of Putin. But legacy media painted him as a victim in that press conference. They ignored how Zelensky behaved for the first 39 minutes of a 50-minute press conference. They ignored that Zelensky kept calling Putin a killer and a terrorist while our president was trying to make peace. They ignored that Zelensky said Russia should pay for everything while our president was trying to make a deal. They ignored that Zelensky threatened Americans that Putin will attack America while we're trying to stop the attacks on Ukraine. They ignore that Zelensky is fighting a war with money that isn't his, while our president is fighting for peace. Stop buying this. Stop buying the story that we need to fight Putin forever. Stop buying the story that we need to use American money for Ukrainians and Russians to die. Stop buying the story that Trump talking to Putin to create peace is somehow wrong. Stop and ask yourself, what exactly are you supporting? Are you supporting peace for the Ukrainian people, or are you supporting governments who get in the way of peace?
Wow, that is poetic. And the way he said it, I mean, you could not have asked for a better breakdown. Now, here we move on to the woman talking all about Zelensky fear-mongering on about U.S. speeches. And listen to what she had to say.
You see, I love me a man. Now, Trump is a man's man. Whether you blue collar or you in the White House, it ain't nothing like a strong man to stand up to another man and protect his family and protect this house. And that's exactly what he did with Zelensky today. You don't come in our house. You don't come to my family's country and disrespect me or disrespect us. And let's not talk about JD Vance. They was standing on business. You don't come to a made man like Donald Trump and the Dream Team and talk to them like they minions. See, you got away with that with Biden. There's a lot of men of America, and men are coming back because that last administration, they wanted men to act like girls. Us real women, especially us MAGA women, we love a man's man. Where the real men at? The man is back, baby. America is back. And Trump just told him like a man tell another man to his face, don't you come up in my house and disrespect me. As a matter of fact, go home. Go home and come back when you ready to talk peace. He little boyed him as he should. And that's what a commander-in-chief looks like.
Amen to that. And finally, we're going to wrap up with our next video from Raw and Unfiltered, and she said a few words, but it was quite powerful. Take a listen.
Y'all not pro Zelensky. No, y'all not. Y'all can miss me with that. Y'all are not pro Zelensky. Y'all just anti-Trump. That's all it is.
Facts.
Bye.
Facts, facts, facts. You all are not pro Zelensky. You're just anti-Trump. And there we have it for our Raw and Unfiltered segment. And as we always do, we wrap up with the Trump Savage segment with Trump and his words so eloquently. Take a listen and he had to say about Zelensky not wanting peace. Take a listen.
Mr. President, how long do you think it will take for Zelensky to want peace and be invited back to the White House?
Well, he says he wants it now. He wants to come back right now, but I can't do that.
Are you going to end? What does Zelensky need to do to restart talks with you?
He's got to say, I want to make peace. He doesn't have to stand there and say about Putin this, Putin that, all negative things. He's got to say, I want to make peace. I don't want to fight a war any longer. His people are dying. He doesn't have the cards, just so you understand it, okay? I can I don't have to tell you that.
And there you have it. Zelensky tried to flex and Trump and JD Vance shut him down. If you loved watching Trump and JD Vance wreck shop, make sure to like, subscribe, and drop a comment. Who had the best clapback, Trump or Vance? Let me know your thoughts below, and I will see you next time on The Charisma Show. Take care, and bye for now.